யாதும் ஊரே யாவரும் கேடீர்.
செம்மொழி வலையொலி யூடியூப் சேனல். இந்த சேனலின் மூலமாக, அந்த வலையொலியின் மூலமாக பல்வேறு தகவல்களை தினந்தோறும் நாங்கள் வழங்கி கொண்டிருக்கக்கூடிய அந்த நிலையில் சிலப்பதிகாரம் என்ற தலைப்பில் ஒவ்வொரு பகுதியாக வழங்கக்கூடிய அந்த தொகுப்பை முழுமையாக கண்டு பார்க்கலாம்.
In a poem by P.Marudhanayagam, the phrase "Kalamsai kove, O potter who fires pots," used as an apostrophe, is repeated thrice, and the same strategy is employed by an unknown author in another Puram poem. This is the first one by P.Marudhanayagam. கலம்சை கோவே கலம்சை கோவே இருள் திணிந்தன்ன குருத்திரள் பரூப்புகை அகலிரு விசும்பின் ஊன்றும் சூளை நனந்தலை மூதூர் கலம்சை கோவே அழியை நீயே யாங்காகுவைகொல் நிலவரை சூட்டிய நீழ்நெடும் தானை புலவர் புகழ்ந்த பொய்யா நல்லிசை விரிகதிர் ஞாயிறு விசும்பு இவர்ந்தன்ன சேன் விளங்கு சிறப்பின் செம்பியர் மருகன் கொடிநுடங்கு யானை நெடுமா வளவன் தேவர் உலகம் எய்தினான் ஆதலின் அன்னோர் கவிக்கும் கண்ணகன் தாழி மனைதல் வேட்டனையாயின் எனையதூவும் இருநிலம் திகிரியா பெருமலை மண்ணா மனைதல் ஒல்லுமோ நினைக்கே. O potter who fires pots, potter who fires pots, potter of the broad and ancient city, you are to be pitied. How can you do this? He who was born in the line of Sembian, that great king, he was born in the line of Sembian, the great Valavan, has reached the world of Devas. If you desire to make an urn large enough to enclose his body, you should have the great mountain for your clay and the wide earth for your wheel. But would you be able to make such a vessel? We don't know if there is any topical allusion here, if there is any reference to a well-known contemporary potter. The other Puram poem repeats the apostrophe thrice in the same manner, but with a different implication in a different context. Kalamsai kove, அச்சுடை சாகாட்டு ஆரம்பொருந்திய சிறுவெண் பல்லிபோல் தன்னொடு சுரம்பல வந்த எமக்கும் அருளி வியல்மலர் அகன்பொழில் ஈமத்தாழி அகலிதாக வனைமோ நனந்தலை மூதூர் கலம்சை கோவே. O potter who makes pots, potter who makes pots, potter of the broad and ancient city, I have come with my husband across wasteland after wasteland like a small white lizard caught on the spoke of a wagon wheel. Taking pity on me too, make him a burial urn that will be large and hold both of us. This is a request to the potter. In the first poem, the poet uses the idea to sing the glory of the king, whose greatness demands an equally great burial urn. In the second poem, the anonymous poet uses the idea to glorify the intensity of the love of the woman for her husband, with whom she would like to be enclosed in the same burial urn. The old commentator of Puranaanooru is shrewd enough to point out that in the first poem, the repetition, kalamsai kove, is suggestive of pity, while in the second poem, it is suggestive of hurry or immediacy. Sangam poets are known for their remarkable similes and metaphors which are aptly suggestive and extremely realistic. Some of the poets whose names are not known are called by the memorable images they have employed in their short pieces. Though they very often go in for original metaphors which uniquely fit the context, at times they do not mind choosing the metaphors already used by other poets when they happen to serve their purpose better than any other they can think of. In 3 poems, what was known as Ngeli hole, that is a stick of kindling, Ngeli hole, is admirably used by 3 different poets. We do not know if Avaya set the model by using it first in the following Puram poem. Udayanayin unnavum vallan kadavar meedum irapporku iyum madavar magidunai neduman anji illirai cheriya ngelihol pola தோன்றாதிருக்கவும் வல்லன் மற்றதன் கான்றுபடு கணையெறி போல தோன்றவும் வல்லன் தான் தோன்றுங்காலே. Adiyaman Nedumananji is here said to resemble a stick of kindling set into the eaves of a house because he can keep himself under control without displaying his strength, but when warranted by circumstances like the huge fire that surges from the stick, he can show his power. Urayur Mudukutanar uses the very same metaphor to describe a chieftain's generosity. கல்லறுத்து இயற்றிய வள்ளுவர் கூவல் வில்லேர் வாழ்க்கை சீரூர் மதவலி நனி நல்கூர்ந்தனன் ஆயினும் பனிமிக புல்லன் மாலை சிறுதி நெலியும் கல்லாய் இடையன் போல குறிப்பின் இல்லது படைக்கவும் வல்லன் உள்ளது தவச்சிறிது ஆயினும் மிகப்பலர் என்னான் நீள் நெடும் பந்தர் ஊன்முறை ஊட்டும் இற்பொலி மகுடூ போல சிற்சில வரிசையின் அழிக்கவும் வல்லவன் உறுதினின் காவல் மன்னர் கடைமுகத்து உகுக்கும் போகு பலி வெண்போது போல தூவவும் வல்லன் அவன் தூவுங்காலே. Even when the chieftain is extremely impoverished, he can produce something which he does not have, just as a cowherd in extreme cold can kindle a small fire in the evening. When he has very little and there are many in need, he can give away a little to everyone according to worth, like a housewife who deals out food in due order. When he has plenty, he can shower down his gifts like kings who pour out the white rice of sacrifice. There is no need to comment on the aptness of the 3 exquisite similes that the poet uses. Alathur Kirar, in a poem of his, refers to a shepherd's stick for kindling, but Ngelihol is not used as a simile here in this poem. Verikku vidayanna verilnokku kayandalai pullun tindra pulavunaru kayavai வெள்வாய் வேட்டுவர் வீழ்துணை மகார் சிறு இலை உடையின் சுரையுடை வால் முள் ஊக நுண்கோள் செறித்த அம்பின் வலார் வல்வில் குலாவர கோலி பருத்தி வேலி கருப்பை பார்க்கும் புன்புலம் தழிய அங்கடி சீரூர் குமிழ் உன் வெள்ளை பகுவாய் பெயர்த்த வெண்காழ்தாய வண்கார் பந்தர் இடையன் பொத்திய சிறுதி விளக்கத்து பாணரோடு இருந்த நானுடை நெடுந்தகை வலம்படு தானை வேந்தற்கு உலந்துழி உலக்கும் நெஞ்சரி துணையே. The worthy chieftain is seen sitting down with barbs under a pavilion with strong pillars by the light of a little fire kindled by a cowherd. The cowherd together with his stick Ngelihol for kindling makes his appearance in the famous poem Perumbanatru Padai by Kadiyalur Uruthirangananaar. Koolar Idayan Kandramar Nirayodu Kanathu Algi Annunavir Pugai Kamada Kai Muyandru Ngelihol Konda Peruviran Negili Chendi. These lines refer to the music of the flute, in which holes were made by the torch ignited by the stick for kindling, used by the shepherd who eats rice mixed with milk and stays with his calves and cows in the forest. Sangam poets lived in close proximity with nature and got all their images from nature as well as from their day-to-day activities. Natural phenomena provided plenty of common comparisons: water for compassion, fire for destructive force, the sky for vastness, the earth for patience, the wind for strength, the sea for immensity, the mountain for grit, and the rain for generosity. These universal images, when used by these poets, found their suitable contexts. The rain, for instance, becomes a significant image in more than 15 Puram poems. Valluvar devotes a separate chapter to the glorification of rain. Perashriyar, in his commentary on Uvamaiyal, makes the following observation on the lines Mariyanna Vanmai Thervel Ayai Kaniya Senme. We are going to see Ai, who has plenty of chariots and is as generous as the rain. The commentator says this is a simile that denotes usefulness, payan. Why? What is produced by the rain is comparable to what is given out of one's generosity, he says. Maran Alangara Urai states, this is a quotation for the greatness of the simile, indicative of the greatness of the subject, and for the ancientness of the simile. The Puram poets are particularly fond of this image, though they ring all kinds of exquisite changes on it. Perinjitranar employs the rain image in 4 of his poems. In one of them, the philanthropist Malayan is called the warring Malayan, as generous as the rain. In the second poem, glorifying Kumanan, the poet says, Kanavar Karibunam Mayakiya Ahankans Kollai Aivanam Vitti Mayura Kavini Enal Sallar Yenar Kirumena Karvi Vanam Talai Yangum Yitha Nin Pugal Yeti. Your generosity is like a cloud rushing with lightning and roaring thunder as it sheds its rain down on millet after it has been planted among wild rice on a spacious land new to cultivation, but burnt over by men of the forest and changed into a field. The third poem, the tasty food that appeases one's hunger, is said to be comparable to the rain that makes a dry land fertile. Urugelu ஞாயிற்று ஒன்கதிர் மிசைந்த முழிப்புல் காணம் குழைப்ப கல்லன அதிர்குரல் ஏரொடு துளி சொரிந்தாங்கு பசிதினத்து இறங்கிய கசிவுடை யாக்கை அவிழ்புகு அறியாதாகலின் வாடிய நெறிகொள் வரிக்குடர் குளிப்ப தன்னன கூய்கொள் கொழுந்துவை நெய்யுடை அடிசில். No rice has got into our shrunken guts and our bodies covered with sweat, baked down and eaten up by our hunger. If coolness is to be granted to them, then rice has to enter them like the drops of rain that come pouring down with the thunder, whose very voice pleases us as they consume the fearsome sun's glowing rays, and the arid land where the grass was burnt dry begins to flourish. The poem says that if it is the duty of the cloud to make the dry land fertile, and of the land to flourish by consuming the drops of rain, it is the responsibility of the kings to yearn to help the needy, and of the poets to receive what is given in order to work for the greater glory of Tamil. In the fourth poem, we come across a more elaborate description of the rain itself. நீண்டொலி அழுவம் குறைபட முகந்து கொண்டு ஈண்டு செலல் கொண்மு வேண்டுவையின் குழி பெருமலை என்ன தோன்றல சூழ் முதிர்வு உறும் உரறு கருவியோடு பெயல்கடன் இருத்து வளமழை மாறிய என்றூழ் காலை மன்பதையெல்லாம் சென்றுண கங்கை கரைபொரும் மலிநீர் நிறைந்து தோன்றியாங்கு எமக்கும் பிறர்க்கும் செம்மலை ஆகலின். Here the patron is said to resemble the Ganges, which is flooded with water for all beings to come and slake their thirst. In the case of this perennial river, this happens even in summer, when the rains that are the source of wealth do not fall, nor do the swift moving clouds appear like great mountains after drawing up their water from the roaring ocean, so that it is shrunken and gathering together wherever they may wish to discharge their duty of pouring down the rain together with the thunder and the lightning. Puranar also uses the image, drawing our attention to the chief defect of the rain. அருகுளத்து உகுத்தும் அகல்வயல் பொழிந்தும் உருமிடத்து உதவாது உவர்நிலம் ஊட்டியும் வரையாமரபின் மாறிபோல கடாயானை கழற்கால் பேகன் கொடைமடம் படுதல் அல்லது படைமடம் படான் பிறர்படை மயக்குறினே. Pagan is ignorant of how to grant gifts, as he doesn't hesitate to confer them on all kinds of people without making any discrimination whatsoever. In this, he is like the clouds which, forming part of an endless family, rain down on the dry reservoirs, on the large fields, on arid salt flats, but not where they may be needed. When Kapilar advises Pagan to take back his abandoned wife, he refers to the rain which may do harm by failing as well as by pouring excessively. மலைவான் கொள்கன உயர்பலி தூய் மாரியாண்டு மழைமேக்கு உயர்கன கடவுட்பேணிய குறவர் மாக்கள் பெயல்கண் மாறிய ஓகையர் சாரல் புனைத்தனை ஆயினும் நாட சினப்போர் கைவள் ஈகை கடுமான் பேக. Pagan is the ruler of a land where on the slopes the Kuravans offer plenty of sacrifices in order to draw the clouds around their mountain, and when those clouds do not cease to pour rain, they pray to their god to drive the clouds away, and then being delighted at the stopping of the rain will consume millet in their fields. The poet in fact suggests that Pagan's wife Kannagi should be shown the mercy she deserves and made happy, just as the Kuravans will have their food happily when the rain complies with their request. Another salient feature of the rain is stressed by Oonpodi Pasungudayar while singing Ilanjed Chenni. கழிந்தது பொழிந்தன வான்கண் மாறினும் தொல்லது விளைந்தன நிலம் வளம் சுரப்பினும் எல்லா உயிர்க்கும் இல்லால் வாழ்க்கை இன்னும் தம்மென எம்மனோர் இறப்பின் முன்னும் கொண்டிரன நும்மனோர் மறுத்தல் இன்னாதம்ம இயல்தேர் அண்ணல். The clouds don't say we have rained other days and stop raining. The fields don't say we have grown food before and stop growing. If that happens, there will be no life at all for any breath drawing being. The king is instructed to be faithful to his duty of providing refuge to the poets and not to be cruel enough to tell them, you have got your gifts from me before, when they approach him with the request, give us something again. The poet urges the king to learn this lesson from nature. Marudhanayagam is pleased to equate the rain with certain other manifestations of nature which do good to mankind. ஞாயிற்றன்ன வெந்திரள் ஆண்மையும் திங்களன்ன தன்பெரும் சாயலும் வானத்தன்ன வன்மையும் மூன்றும் உடையாகி இல்லோர் கையற நீ நீடு வாழிய நெடுந்தகை. The king is asked to be as virile as the sun in his blazing strength, as large and cool as the moon in his gentleness, and as bountiful as the clouds in his generosity. The poets who came later were captivated by this combination of the sun, the moon and the rain. In Paripadal, we come across the same description. நின் வெம்மையும் விளக்கமும் ஞாயிற்றுள, நின் தன்மையும் சாயலும் திங்கள் உள, நின் சுரத்தலும் வன்மையும் மாறி உள. சிலப்பதிகாரம் opens with splendid invocations to these three. That is the sun, the moon and the rain. Anxious waiting for the rain is not the lot of mankind alone. There are other living beings who eagerly look forward to the rain. This fact has not been missed by the Puram poets, praising a Pandya king, Vadama Vannakkan Peri Satanar, says, நீடு வாழிய நெடுந்தகையானும் கேளில் சேய் நாட்டின் எந்நாளும் துளிநசை புள்ளின் நின் அடிநசைக்கு இறங்கி நின் அடிநிழல் பழகிய அடியுரை கடுமான் மாற மறவாதிமே. The poet compares himself to a bird, that is the skylark, that craves drops of water in a distant country. The peacock is perhaps the one bird which is most immensely delighted by the rain. Mudamosiyar advises a virali to go to Oy Andiran, dancing like a peacock. காண்டல் வேண்டினையாயின் மாண்டனின் விரை வளர் கூந்தல் வரை வழி உளர கலவ மங்கையின் காண்வர இயலி மாரியன்ன வன்மை தேர்வேள் ஆயை காணிய சென்மே. If the chieftain is as bounteous as the rain, the dancing woman is as pretty as a peacock with its spreading feathers, the mountain wind blowing through the fullness of her sweet smelling hair. There is an odd twist to the rain metaphor in a poem by Avayar and in another by Kabilar. Praising Adiyaman to the skies, Avayar says, வான் அரியல என்பர் அடுபசி போக்கல் அண்ணல் யானை வேந்தர் உண்மையோ அறியலர் காண்பறியலரே. Those who complain that the clouds have ignored their suffering do not know the king who possesses the best elephants and removes murderous hunger, or else they have not seen him. Adiyaman is said to be superior to the rain because the rain may fail, whereas he is sure to help those who approach him irrespective of his condition. It is Kabilar's negative use of the simile which has become memorable. பாரி பாரி என்று பல ஏத்தி ஒருவர் புகழ்வர் சென்னா புலவர் பாரி ஒருவனும் அல்லன் மாரியும் உண்டு ஈண்டு உலகு பிறப்பதுவே. Bards with their truthful tongues praise only one man, mentioning his many strengths, but Pari is not the only one who takes care of the world. The rain also does it. That is what the poet says. It should be evident from these instances and many more to be found in the Sangam anthologies that these poets did not suffer from the Bloomian anxiety of influence. On the other hand, they ventured to make incursions into what their predecessors and contemporaries had done successfully and tried to make their own contribution without being accused of plagiarism. Thank you.